Chapter 1 Douluo Continent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Douluo Continent, Star Luo Empire, Royal Palace. A heavy snowfall had blanketed the entire palace in silver, and a biting north wind kept everyone indoors. Hey, chow time. Outside the forgotten cold palace, a plump eunuch, bundled in a thick padded coat, shoved a cold lunch through a small hole in the wall, a cruel grin plastered on his face. The hole was barely bigger than a doggy door, *scratch star. A pair of skeletal, yellowed hands reached through the hole, fingertips gingerly touching the lunchbox, then snapping back as if burned. The iron was ice cold in the frigid air. A soft whimper of pain echoed from inside the cold palace. A moment later, a thin finger, red with cold, trembled as it reached out again, this time gripping the lunchbox tightly. No matter how cold the metal was, it didn't let go. With a grating sound, the lunchbox was dragged through the hole by the tiny hands. The eunuch and his cronies erupted in laughter. "Huh, the little whelp is eating. Little prince, you better eat up, even if it's cold. Wouldn't want you to keel over with those twig arms and legs. How would we explain that to the queen? That bitch had the nerve to cross the queen. Now she's gone, but her son will pay the price. Eunuchly, you've been doing such a bang-up job these past few years. The queen will definitely reward you. Don't forget about us when that happens." One of the eunuchs fawned over the man who delivered the lunch. "Easy there." Their laughter faded as the group of eunuchs and maids walked away, giddy with the prospect of promotions and riches. Inside the cold palace, a small boy, 5 or 6 years old, stared at the lunchbox. He paused, gritted his teeth, and yanked his finger free. A trickle of blood oozed out. The cold was so intense that his finger had frozen to the iron. His face contorted in pain. He shoved his finger into his mouth to stop the bleeding, then staggered toward the dilapidated building. He kicked the door shut with his heel, blocking out the wind and snow. But the frigid air still whistled through the cracked window. He was wearing a thick padded jacket, but the cotton stuffing had long been removed. It offered some protection, but only enough to keep him from freezing to death outright. He shoved the lunchbox aside, grabbed the broken window frame with his bare hands, and walked over to his bed to find the flints and charcoal he had hidden underneath it. He carefully arranged the charcoal in a groove on the ground, then grit his teeth to overcome the pain as he used the flint to ignite the charcoal. Then he removed the pieces of wood from the window frame and tossed them into the groove to catch on fire. Soon, a small fire crackled to life, bringing a sliver of warmth to the frigid room. He kicked the lunchbox closer to the fire, letting the flames warm the food inside. His chapped hands, numb with cold, tingled as they warmed. This small comfort was precious. The little boy's name was Dai Yao, and he was the son of the current emperor Xingluo. But his mother had incurred the queen's jealousy. After she fell from grace, both mother and son were banished to the cold palace. Since her death, he, the so-called prince, had been all but forgotten, trapped in this cold and desolate place. No doubt, this was the queen's doing. For 6 years, Dai Yao had suffered in the cold palace. At the queen's behest, the palace eunuchs and maids did everything in their power to torment him. In the summer, he liked to sit under the big tree in the courtyard for shade. The next day, the tree was gone. If he stayed in the pond for an extra second, the maids scooped up every living thing inside. He'd reported the broken window to the eunuchs, but no one had bothered to fix it, leaving him to suffer through the winter cold. If it weren't for the White Tiger clan's elder council, who were responsible for the safety of all White Tiger descendants, he probably would have been beaten to a pulp by those eunuchs. But the isolation of being trapped in the cold palace for nearly 6 years was slowly driving him mad. After eating some of the food, he felt a bit better. Staring into the flames, he fell deep into thought. Tomorrow I turn 6, and my martial soul will awaken. If it's not strong enough, not even the elder council can protect me forever. Then, I'm as good as dead. His eyes darkened at the thought. Maybe I should have just frozen to death these last few winters. All this, just to awaken a decent martial soul and avenge my mother. Though his mother had nominally died of depression after being banished, he knew the truth. The queen's people had murdered her. Dai Yao's breathing quickened as he clenched his fists. "Bitch, I swear I'll make you pay in blood." The cold moonlight streamed in through the cold palace walls, adding to the chill, adding firewood to the flames. Yao shook his head. All those Douluo fanfics, and the protagonist is never some pathetic loser like me. They inherit the legacy of Wei Wu and pick up girls all over Douluo continent. Why am I so miserable? That he was a time traveler. In his past life, he was just an ordinary guy from Earth, who had somehow ended up in the Douluo continent. He'd been a simple person, he'd worked as a question writer while studying and had gotten a job in construction after graduating. He was unremarkable. From childhood to college, he'd been mediocre, without anything spectacular ever happening. He wasn't tall, and his looks were average, neither handsome nor ugly. In this life, even though he was skinny and young, he was starting to show hints of handsomeness. His parents had always taught him to be a good, honest person, and to try not to cause trouble for others. But he'd learned the hard way that such people didn't thrive in society. He was, as they say, a pushover. And these days, honest wasn't exactly a compliment. Never again will I be a pushover. Thinking of the day's events, and the years of abuse he had endured, his eyes hardened. The law of the world is the survival of the fittest. That was true in my past life, and it's even more true here in Douluo continent. I will become ruthless and make those who bully me pay. Later that evening, a knock at the door startled the snow on the eaves. Yao scrambled to put out the fire, afraid of being seen and reported to the eunuchs, who would do anything to please the queen. Opening the door, he saw a middle-aged man standing outside. Uncle 3, Yao said in surprise. His third uncle's name was Dai Hengyu, the current Emperor Xingluo's brother. But because of his martial soul, he hadn't participated in the competition for the throne, and they still maintained a semblance of family. Of all the people Yao had met, his third uncle was the only one who had shown him any kindness. Hey! Seeing Yao's battered appearance, Dai Hengyu was filled with guilt and helplessness. He and Yao's mother had been close friends, and she had entrusted him with her son's care before she died. But he was just a prince without real power. What could he do to protect someone the queen wanted gone? But things might change after tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day you awaken your martial soul. I need to tell you something, Dai Hengyu said, scooping up Yao and comforting him. What is it? It's about your future. Maybe you won't have to live in this cold palace anymore. Our Dai family is the Star Luo royal family. Since the beginning, we've passed down the white tiger spirit, the ultimate beast martial soul. But the more powerful a martial soul is, the harder it is to inherit. Only a few members of each generation can awaken it, and those people are named princes. When it comes to inheriting the martial soul, children of parents who both possess the white tiger spirit and the nether cat spirit have the highest chance of inheriting the white tiger spirit. That's why the wives of every generation of Xingluo emperors are from the Zhu family, who are rumored to have the nether civet martial spirit. He smiled bitterly. Like me. Your mother's martial soul wasn't the netherworld spirit cat spirit, which meant you probably couldn't inherit the white tiger spirit. If you stay in the palace, you'll suffer your entire life. So, after you awaken your martial soul tomorrow, I'm going to take you to the Council of Elders. The Council of Elders was the organization responsible for the White Tiger family's internal affairs. They record the concubines, names, and titles of the family's children. They also oversee martial soul awakenings, mimicry practice, soul ring acquisitions, and burials. The council is led by 7 elders above the Contra level and has jurisdiction over a large number of clan members. Thank you, third uncle. But I know you can only hide me for so long. If the queen really wants me dead, not even the elder council can protect me. Dai Hengyu was taken aback by Yao's maturity. He didn't seem like a 6-year-old at all. But if I don't awaken a powerful martial soul tomorrow, I'll have to rely on you, third uncle. After saying goodbye to his third uncle, Yao returned to the room and lit the fire again. If he could, he didn't want to live like this. He had endured the eunuch's beatings, scoldings, and humiliations for 6 long years. A powerful martial soul doesn't necessarily make a powerful soul master, but a powerful soul master must have a powerful martial soul. In the original story, the master once said, there are no useless martial souls, only useless soul masters. But why weren't there any Ho Douluos or blue silver grass Douluos in Douluo continent? Tang San didn't count. His martial soul was the blue silver emperor. Very few of these useless martial souls ever become soul masters. The martial souls that reach the Douluo level are all powerful and famous. It's safe to say that the martial soul determines a person's life. If Dai Yao couldn't awaken a powerful martial soul, he would have to endure the humiliation for the rest of his life. P.S. Some changes have been made regarding the inheritance of martial souls. If it was true that the powerful martial spirits of both parents were inherited, then after 10,000 years, everyone's martial spirits would be the same. Therefore, I made it more difficult to inherit more powerful martial spirits. PS2, I've been updating a Douluo fanfic for a couple chapters over the last 2 months, and it's tiresome. So, I'll try to write one myself. PS3, chapter has been edited. Chapter 2 Qinglian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2, Qinglian. Dai Yao went back to bed, sat in a lotus position, closed his eyes, and focused on his breathing, entering a meditative state. In his mind's eye, a single green lotus swayed gently. Maybe my destiny hinges on you, Dai Yao mused. This very green lotus was the reason he ended up in the Douluo continent in the first place. Back in his past life, after another late night at the office, he was passing the company's lotus pond when something drew him to a peculiar lotus flower. He felt compelled to walk towards it. As if in a trance, he ended up falling into the pond. Unable to swim, he drowned. And that's how he arrived in this world. For the past 5 or 6 years, the lotus had resided within his spiritual world, and he'd wondered if it was his golden ticket, his lucky charm. But when he thought about those other Douluo fanfics, where the main character gets a chaos green lotus or a Pangu Axe martial spirit just by showing up, this seemingly harmless little lotus didn't seem to measure up. He couldn't help but dismiss the notion as absurd. Maybe this is my martial spirit, Dai Yao pondered. Could it be some kind of chaos green lotus after all? Nah, forget it. Still no clues. I've been chasing my tail, but I'm getting nowhere. Still, if this green lotus could transport me across dimensions, it's gotta have something special going on. I just haven't figured it out yet. Either way, this Qinglian is part of me. Someday, I'll unlock its secret. Even if this Qinglian wasn't as flashy as those sign-in systems, it granted Dai Yao a unique ability, the ability to sense qi. Soul masters depend on qi, the life force floating between heaven and earth, to cultivate their soul power. From the moment he could sense qi, he was ecstatic and dove headfirst into studying it, foregoing sleep and food. He discovered that simply visualizing Qinglian in his spiritual world would automatically kickstart his training. In the original story, Tang San practiced the mysterious heaven skill and maxed out his innate soul power by the time he awakened his martial soul, so Dai Yao trained hard every day. A few years ago, he finally hit a wall. His Dantian, the energy center, couldn't hold any more. His training ground to a halt, but with his martial soul awakening scheduled for tomorrow, he impulsively decided to give it another shot. When he visualized the green lotus, a faint image of it appeared in his Dantian. Instantly, the qi in the surrounding air seemed to find an outlet, rushing towards Dai Yao like a tidal wave. Qi flowed through his limbs and bones, coursing through his meridians, finally merging into his Dantian. Whenever this happened, he felt like he was floating on water, cool and refreshed. Inside his Dantian, the phantom of the green lotus spun the energy, tinting it green and blue. The Dantian acted like a massive millstone, driving the newly arrived qi to spin, slowly grinding it down and assimilating it. Once assimilated, the energy separated and returned to the world through the muscles and veins of his body. Still nothing. Am I stuck in the same boat as Tang San with his mysterious heaven skill? Do I need my first soul ring before I can keep training? Dai Yao thought, frustrated. Tomorrow was the day to awaken his martial soul. Thinking about his life, he couldn't help feeling worried. There's a good chance he won't inherit the white tiger spirit. And even though he has the Qinglian, he still doesn't know what it can do. He stood up and walked through the snow to the courtyard. A bright moon hung on the branches, radiating a crystalline glow. The moon made him think of old friends. How were his parents back in his past life? How was his mother, the one who always loved to laugh? Was his father, the serious but secretly caring type, still working out of town? Coming to Douluo continent, his biological mother was murdered by the queen, Emperor Xingluo. The man he calls his father, was a stranger to him, melancholy washed over him. Separated from his family, his future uncertain. To vent his emotions, he slammed his palm against a dead tree, crack, splinters flew, a jolt of pain surged from within his palm, from the bones to the skin. What's this? Dai Yao stared at his hand, shocked. A clear palm print was visible on the tree trunk. He was only 6 years old. Even on a dead tree, there was no way a kid his age could leave a mark like that. When did I get so strong? I didn't even put that much into it, he wondered. After the pain subsided, he struck the tree again. This time, nothing. No mark, no increased pain. Is it the qi? He had just finished training, and residual qi must have remained in his arm. The first strike used that qi, greatly enhancing its power. The second strike had nothing to amplify it. If that lingering qi could do that, imagine if I concentrated it in my hand and then struck. How powerful would that be? Without hesitation, Dai Yao channeled the energy from his dantian into his arm. Then, he swung his uninjured left hand and slammed it into the dead tree, snap, the tree, as big around as a person, split in two, but Dai Yao was too preoccupied with the searing pain to care about the tree. Holy crap, that hurts. Grimacing, he felt as if his entire arm was detached. He wiggled it, relieved to find that it still moved. Too reckless. Almost broke my arm. My dantian is nearly empty. This means I can only use this attack a few times right now. But I can control the power by adjusting the energy. This could be a killer move in a fight. A powerful move needs a name. Since it unleashes a huge burst of energy in an instant and it's powered by 2 fists, let's call it Baji Blast. He peeked through the crack in the door. Luckily, Cold Palace was isolated, and the commotion hadn't drawn any attention. He went back inside and continued practicing to replenish his lost qi. The energy of heaven and earth swirled into Dai Yao's dantian, filling it at a rapid pace. In his spiritual world, the green lotus swayed, scattering a shimmering dust. His injured arm also began to heal. The next day, it was the big day for his martial soul awakening, so Dai Yao woke up early. He was surprised to find that most of yesterday's injuries had healed. After throwing a full-force punch, his injured left hand felt fine. Only a slight numbness remained when he strained it. Is this Qinglian's doing too? Does it have healing powers? Chapter 3 Martial Spirit Awakening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3, The Martial Spirit Awakens, Royal Palace, Awakening Hall. The Presbyterian Church, usually based in the Baihu Mountains outside the imperial city, also maintained branches within the palace due to the mountain status as the royal family's ancestral home. This council mainly handled clan affairs, and since the royal family was part of the White Tiger lineage, they oversaw each prince's martial spirit awakening. Over time, the Nether Civic clan, as relatives of the White Tiger clan, had become a subsidiary, making the Elders' Council responsible for awakening their martial spirits as well. I'm taking you to the Awakening Hall. Someone will guide you inside. Just follow their instructions, and don't worry. Even if your martial spirit is weak, I'll protect you. Dai Hengyu knelt, placing his hands on Dai Yao's head in a comforting gesture. Thank you, uncle. After Dai Hengyu left, Dai Yao approached the Awakening Hall. 2 stone tigers flanked the entrance, their lines rough but lifelike. They seemed ready to leap and attack. That's the White Tiger, one of the top beast spirits on Douluo continent. You've got White Tiger blood in you, kid. A gruff voice said beside him. Dai Yao turned to see an old man, muscles bulging like a humanoid T-Rex. His fiery red hair and beard gave him the appearance of a living flame. The 5th elder, noticing Dai Yao's disheveled appearance, smoothed his hair with a thick palm and said, "Kid, don't lose hope. Hang in there. Our White Tiger bloodline's pride depends on your generation." Who are you? Call me 5th elder. 5th elder, David Lai, was a Contra with a soul power level of 85. He was the 5th-ranked member of the Council of Elders, enjoying a high reputation. His fiery personality and hatred of evil had caused trouble throughout Douluo continent. To keep him in check, the council stationed him in the palace, tasking him with overseeing the prince's martial spirit awakenings. "Let's go. I'll take you to awaken your martial soul. The other kids are already here. *I**N this day and age it feels like every other soul in Douluo is from another world. Well, Su Yuntao's out of a job." Dai Yao followed the 5th elder, thinking to himself. They arrived at the awakening hall, already filled with whispering, lively children. 2 kids stood out in the crowd. One was taller than the rest, with striking blonde hair and handsome features. He had broad shoulders and a strong back, but the most remarkable thing was his mismatched eyes. He exuded a wild and dominating aura. The other was a girl, her black hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall, styled with cat ear shapes on either side of her head. Dressed in black, she looked dignified and elegant. However, her black eyes were cold and lifeless, creating a stark contrast with her beauty. Mismatched pupils, that's Dai Mubai. Seeing the obvious feature, Dai Yao instantly recognized him. But shouldn't he have awakened his martial spirit already, given his age? Why is he here? If that's Dai Mubai, then the girl next to him must be Zhu Zhuqing. Of all the female characters in the original Douluo Dalu, Dai Yao's favorite was Zhu Zhuqing. She had a hot figure, stunning beauty, and unwavering loyalty. Dai Mubai chose to abandon the throne competition and flee to Heaven Do, leaving Zhu Zhuqing behind in the Star Luo Empire. But she insisted on following him, pushing him to be his best. Such girls were a true rarity in Dai Yao's previous life. "Your name's Dai Yao?" Dai Mubai asked condescendingly as Dai Yao entered. "Yes." Dai Yao was noticeably shorter than Dai Mubai. "What a beggar," Dai Mubai sneered. Dai Mubai's mother was the current queen, and she held a deep hatred for Dai Yao and his mother. He came to the awakening hall today, first, to assess Zhu Zhuqing's talent and arrange a marriage contract if she proved worthy, second, to teach Dai Yao a lesson. "That woman humiliated my mother. Today, I'm paying you back for it." Dai Mubai said. Dai Yao narrowed his eyes, then lowered his head, pretending not to hear. He knew he was powerless to fight back against such malice for now. He would have to endure it, waiting for the chance to repay these debts. "Quiet," but the 5th elder stepped between them, warning Dai Mubai, "Third prince, bullying those weaker than you isn't in line with the White Tiger clan's rules. Princes can compete for the throne using their own skills, but show some tolerance towards other clan members." Despite his fiery personality, the 5th elder's guidance was always on point. He then moved to the center of the hall, stomped his right foot, and a golden magic circle appeared on the floor. He announced in a powerful voice, "Children, your martial spirit determines your life. Our Xingluo royal family has passed down the White Tiger martial spirit for generations. Every member of the Dai family is proud to awaken the White Tiger martial spirit. Every Xingluo emperor has possessed the White Tiger spirit. They all emerge from a brutal selection process based on the clan rules. This harsh tradition creates a great emperor, and only a great emperor can lead this great nation. Today, I hope someone among you can awaken the White Tiger martial spirit. Now, who wants to be the first to awaken their martial spirit?" Spurred on by the 5th elder's words, the children eagerly stepped forward. The 5th elder chose one of them. As the boys stood in the center of the magic circle, the 5th elder waved his hand, injecting white light into the ground. The circle instantly lit up, golden light spots emanating from the ground, gradually forming a pale golden mask around the boy. The sudden change startled the boy. "Calm down and feel the changes within you," the 5th elder instructed. As the light seeped into his body, the boy gradually quieted. Then, a pair of red ears sprouted on his head, his hair turned fiery red, and a long tail appeared behind him. Red Cat martial spirit. Now, let's test his innate soul power. The 5th elder produced a crystal ball and instructed the boy to place his hand on it. When the boy touched the ball, it glowed with a dull gray light. Level 4 soul power. The 5th elder sighed inwardly. This child had little potential. In the vast clan, very few individuals awaken the white tiger spirit. The fifth elder glanced at Dai Mubai, sighing to himself, perhaps the third prince is the only one in this generation. Next, awaken your martial spirit. The same scene repeated itself several times. Most of the children possessed ordinary martial spirits with only level 4 or 5 soul power. The best among them had the Black Panther martial spirit, with level 8 soul power. As fewer and fewer children remained unawakened, the fifth elder's disappointment grew. Finally, only 2 were left. Next is Zhu Zhuqing. P.S. 2 chapters updated every morning at 8:30. Chapter 4 Sacred White Tiger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Holy White Tiger. When Zhu Zhuqing stepped forward, all eyes locked on her, especially Dai Mubai and Dai Yao. She took her place in the center of the magic circle, and the golden light shield reappeared. The fifth elder watched, increasingly amazed as she absorbed more and more golden light. He'd overseen countless spirit awakenings and knew that the more light absorbed, the greater the spirit's potential. Zhu Zhuqing was already matching the Black Panther spirit's absorption rate, and she wasn't slowing down. She's about to awaken her family's inherited spirit, the fifth elder realized, connecting Zhu Zhuqing's name to her lineage. As the light stopped flowing, Zhu Zhuqing's new form became clear, cat ears sprouted from her head, and a tail swished behind her. Her fingernails lengthened into razor-sharp claws, and her movements were feline and graceful. Wisps of dark energy trailed her, like shadows from the underworld. Her cold eyes showed no hint of warmth or life. The netherworld cat spirit, just as expected, the fifth elder mused. Now, let's test your innate soul power. The crystal ball erupted in brilliant light as she touched it. Rank 9 soul power. Almost full innate power. She's even more talented than the 3 princes. The fifth elder exclaimed. Child, you know your family's duty. Every Zhu clan girl who awakens the netherworld cat spirit will marry a Xingluo prince who awakens the white tiger spirit. The only unmarried prince is the third, Dai Mubai. Tomorrow, the Zhu family will formally offer you to him, and you will become his third imperial concubine. Okay, Zhu Zhuqing replied simply. Dai Mubai immediately approached, trying to strike up a conversation, but he hesitated to get too close. As the engagement wasn't official yet, Zhu Zhuqing remained distant and cold. Next, Dai Yao. A figure emerged from the crowd. The children whispered as they recognized him. Have you heard? That's Dai Yao, the one banished to the cold palace. Dai Yao. Look at those rags. Is he even worthy of being a Dai? Dai Mubai, overhearing the ridicule, sneered. His mother was just a common maid. What kind of spirit could he possibly awaken? Dai Yao glared at Dai Mubai, his anger rising at the insults to him and his mother. But remembering his situation, he swallowed his rage. Ready? The fifth elder asked. Yes. The formation glowed, and specks of light floated from the ground, entering Dai Yao's body. Warmth. That was Dai Yao's first sensation. Like a gentle winter sun on his skin, the warmth spread within, and he felt his spiritual world stir. A golden egg appeared. Drawn by the warmth, the egg began to crack. Well, can it be? The fifth elder noticed that Dai Yao's initial light absorption was comparable to the red cat spirit. Looks like another ordinary spirit, he sighed, but then, he was shocked to see Dai Yao's absorption, which had paused, surge again, faster than anyone else. When the golden egg broke, Dai Yao felt a wave of disappointment. He sensed a weak spirit within. My last life was unremarkable, and so will this one be. Will I never have a chance to change my fate? He thought bitterly. Then, the swaying green lotus released a beam of green light that vanished into the golden egg. The cracked egg instantly healed. As the golden light kept flowing in, the aura contained within the golden egg kept growing stronger. Finally, the potent aura caused the entire spiritual world to tremble. This is. Dai Yao felt a surge of joy. It was the first time in years that he saw Qinglian act, enhancing his spirit significantly. What kind of spirit is this? The fifth elder was more surprised than ever. Dai Yao had absorbed more light than even the white tiger spirit could handle. The white tiger was considered one of the top beast spirits. What could be more powerful? The best beast spirit in the world is debatable. Some say the white tiger, some say the blue lightning tyrant dragon, and some say the phoenix. The best weapon spirit in the world is not debatable, the clear sky hammer. He's absorbed more light than the clear sky hammer. The fifth elder's surprise turned to shock. Finally, the golden egg shattered. An ancient tiger roar echoed through the spiritual world, and a colossal shadow materialized. It was a majestic, domineering white tiger, a fearsome beast that could stand against dragons. The tiger was pure white, with no other color, except for the character, King, formed by 4 golden lines on its forehead. White whiskers, like steel needles, bristled around its mouth. Its limbs were corded with muscle, brimming with explosive power. Its fangs and claws were razors, sharper than any sword, but most striking of all were the white wings on its back. Wait a minute. Isn't that the form of the netherworld white tiger from the original novel when Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing fused their spirits at Jiaoling Pass? Tang San said that their fused spirit reached god-level power. Does that make this winged white tiger a god-level spirit? That even more shocking, the 2-winged white tiger padded up to Qinglian and curled up at its base like a kitten, appearing to submit. This Qinglian didn't just transform spirits, even a god-level spirit would yield to it. Qinglian, what are you? Before he could dwell on it, his attention was drawn to the changes in his own body. A blinding white light erupted from Dai Yao. His bones cracked and shifted, and his muscles bulged, ripping his mage robes. The very air around him seemed to crackle with energy. His blonde hair turned white, and 4 golden lines appeared on his forehead, 3 vertical and 1 horizontal, forming the character. His hands enlarged, covered in white fur, and his fingers elongated into sharp, claw-like blades. His overall size increased dramatically, and his previously gaunt frame now filled out to resemble a normal person. A pair of meter-long white wings unfurled behind him. His transformation drew gasps from the watching children, who also felt a primal fear resonating in their souls, not of Dai Yao, but of their own spirits sensing a superior predator. Dai Mubai stared, stunned. Even with his white tiger spirit, he felt fear from Dai Yao's spirit. Cold sweat trickled down his face. He's finally awakened. What kind of spirit is that? Zhu Zhuqing also turned, her expression confused. She felt a sense of connection to Dai Yao's spirit. Dai Mubai had felt it too, but not nearly as intensely. The 5th elder was ecstatic. He felt the overwhelming power of Dai Yao's spirit. Even though such a spirit was unprecedented in the family's history, there was no doubt that it was far stronger than the white tiger spirit. As a family elder, nothing was more important to him than the family's strength. Come, child, test your innate soul power. Chapter 5 Emperor Xingluo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Emperor Xingluo. When Dai Yao touched the crystal ball, he felt an immediate pull. The energy in his dantian rushed into the super crystal ball like a river breaking its banks. The crystal ball lit up, bathing the entire awakening hall in bright light. The light was so intense that many kids squinted. But the 5th elder stared, a fanatical look on his face. He really has innate soul power. A martial spirit this strong must have awakened it. Innate full soul power is incredibly rare, especially in the white tiger lineage. None of the 3 princes have it. What a gift, the 5th elder thought, then felt a pang of pity. Dai Yao, you'd be groomed as the heir in any other family with your talent. But you were born into the Dai family. Your talent means you're destined to fight for the throne. But you're too weak right now, not even a soul master. Davis, the eldest prince, is already 15, a soul master. Even the youngest, Dai Mubai, is 9. That age gap is enough to negate any talent advantage. And the princes aren't exactly slouches in the talent department either. They're top tier. You can't compete with them. You'll just end up dead. Talent can't override the clan rules. They're the foundation of the white tiger family's strength. How many geniuses have died because of those rules? The 5th elder wrestled with his thoughts, pursing his lips in helpless resignation. It was such a waste of talent. But the rules were set in stone, designed to ensure the family's survival through generations by ruthlessly weeding out the weak. I can only try to create a somewhat fair environment, minimizing the prince's influence on you. Prove your genius. Surrounded by shocked faces, Dai Yao entered the state of Wuhuan possession, transforming back into his scrawny self. But no one looked down on him now. No one would risk offending a future soul master, especially the fourth prince of the Star Luo Empire, not that they'd fawn over him either. Becoming a prince sealed his fate, destined to fail in the throne competition, and Dai Mubai, on the other hand, felt disgust. Dai Yao's princely status meant he'd be forced to seek a marriage partner in the Zhu family, according to clan rules. Zhu Zhuqing was the only suitable candidate right now. His marriage contract might be in jeopardy. Your martial spirit talent is unprecedented in our clan's history. Name it, the fifth elder said kindly, setting aside his sympathy. The holy white tiger, Dai Yao replied, feeling relieved. His powerful martial spirit had freed him from a life of mediocrity. Revenge was now possible. Everyone had finished awakening their martial spirits. Some were disappointed, others overjoyed, and they left with their friends. Zhu Zhuqing felt an inexplicable pull towards Dai Yao. The closer he got, the stronger it became. But she didn't act on it, true to her cold nature. Seeing Zhu Zhuqing's gaze fixed on Dai Yao, Dai Mubai seethed. He'd waited 3 years to find a suitable marriage partner. He considered her off-limits, but she was giving her attention to someone else. He approached Dai Yao, towering over him at 9 years old. Don't think awakening a good martial spirit makes you hot stuff, he sneered. When you get your first spirit ring, I'll teach you a lesson you won't forget. Dai Yao lowered his head, not responding, appearing to acknowledge Dai Mubai's words. From both lives, he understood one thing: stay humble before those who control your fate, regardless of their morality. Dai Mubai was stronger. Dai Yao hadn't seen a soul master's power firsthand. He didn't know if his Baji Beng could even hurt one. He wouldn't provoke Dai Mubai without a guaranteed victory. Besides, Dai Mubai had powerful backers. Patience was key. Night. Star Luo Palace. Midnight had passed, and darkness covered the world, but the White Tiger Palace, where government affairs were handled, was brightly lit. Emperor Xingluo, having just finished his duties, rubbed his tired eyes and stood to stretch. He went to court at dawn and returned at midnight. The constant grind wore down even a contra-level powerhouse. He looked at the empire map behind him, lost in thought, and asked his eunuch, "What's the White Tiger Army's progress in the Principality of Santos?" "Your Majesty, since the Haotian sect withdrew from the world, the White Tiger Army has made no progress in the Principality of Santos without their help. The Spirit Hall is helping Tiendo's rebels reclaim the land we previously occupied." The eunuch looked at the exhausted emperor, worried. He had witnessed the emperor's sacrifices for the Star Luo Empire. Even a Contra couldn't endure this constant work. People only saw the powerful emperor commanding thousands, at the peak of his power, never imagining his sacrifices. He had abandoned his own well-being in his quest to unify the continent, all for nothing. Alas, Emperor Xingluo sighed. Haotian Douluo was so foolish. He caused so much trouble over a woman. No, not even a human. A damn soul beast. Emperor Xingluo's blood boiled. An alliance with the Haotian sect had brought the unification of Douluo within reach. But Haotian Douluo had fallen out with the Spirit Hall over a soul beast. Haotian withdrew, and the Star Luo Empire pulled back its troops. Even after 6 years, Emperor Xingluo couldn't let it go. Hundreds of years of work, countless soldiers, all wiped out. The Haotian sect retreated, but the Xingluo Empire had spent a fortune and gained nothing. "Your Majesty, don't dwell on these troubles. I have good news," the eunuch said, changing the subject. "Oh. What is it?" "Today, another member of the clan awakened the White Tiger martial spirit. The Star Luo Empire has a 4th prince. Which branch does he belong to?" Emperor Xingluo asked, pleased, but couldn't recall anyone capable of awakening the White Tiger martial spirit among the royal heirs. "Which woman is his mother?" The eunuch asked carefully, watching the emperor's reaction. That woman? The emperor was confused, then he realized what the eunuch meant. The teacup fell to the floor with a crash, and his face turned ugly. It's her child. His expression shifted, and he spoke slowly. Follow the normal procedure for ennobling a prince. Give him what he's due. The emperor said, his face cold, his tone impersonal, like a robot. The eunuch felt deep sadness. He had been with the emperor for years and knew his regrets. As the emperor calmed down, he said, Your Majesty, the queen and the fifth elder are waiting outside. Bring them in. The queen and the fifth elder may enter. The eunuch announced. The palace doors opened, and a beautiful woman entered, with smooth skin and red lips. But the cold glint in her eyes was chilling. Behind her was the fifth elder, his fiery red figure standing out in the dark. P.S. If you think it's okay, give it a recommendation vote. The new book period is really hard. Chapter 6 Duel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Duel. Greetings, Your Majesty. They bowed and took their seats as the eunuch directed. Your Majesty, I have a matter to report. Yes, Emperor Xingluo was intrigued. The fifth elder had always stayed out of royal affairs, so his presence at the White Tiger Palace was unusual. The fifth elder bowed again and said, A fourth prince has been born to the empire. According to clan custom, we must find a suitable match from the Zhu family. However, the only unmarried Zhu woman is a girl who has awakened the nether civet martial spirit. Therefore, I humbly request Your Majesty to grant her to the fourth prince. The emperor was surprised. Why was the fifth elder so concerned about Duel? He wasn't connected to the boy. Something must be up. Hold on, the queen interjected with a gentle smile, her voice like a songbird's. The third prince isn't married yet. Why jump to the fourth? That she had come specifically for Duel. She kept a close watch on the harem, and knew all about Duel's situation. However, she never imagined he'd show so much talent that the Presbyterian Council, which usually stayed out of royal affairs, would get involved. She hated Duel's mother, and wasn't about to let that go. There was no way she'd let Zhu Zhuqing be betrothed to that little bastard. With all due respect, Your Majesty, the fifth elder replied, our Dai family doesn't stand on ceremony. That's true for succession, and it's true for this matter. He knew he was going against the queen, but for the sake of Duel's martial spirit and the Baihu family's future, he had to stand his ground. Besides, he had never been afraid of anyone when he believed he was right. Your Majesty, Mubai is your son. He's waited 3 years for a suitable wife. Wouldn't betrothing a Zhu girl to Duel be a waste of his time? The queen said, her voice soft and pleading, tears welling up in her eyes. Your Majesty. The fifth elder began to retort, but the emperor stopped him with a wave. Enough. Both of you make good points, but no matter who she marries, someone will be unhappy. My Dai family doesn't stand on ceremony. Since the beginning of time, to the victor goes the spoils. That's true for the throne, and it's true for this matter, the emperor stated, his voice as cold as the Dai family laws. Let them duel. The winner gets the girl. Both the queen and the fifth elder were pleased by this. The queen thought the emperor still favored her. Despite the duel, Duel was much younger than Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai, at level 17 soul power, was stronger. The outcome was all but decided. The fifth elder also got what he wanted, suggesting Zhu Zhuqing for Duel was just a long shot. It was like haggling, start with an unacceptable price, then propose a more reasonable one. This proposal set the stage for his real goal. Your Majesty, the fourth prince hasn't obtained his soul ring yet. Can we wait until he becomes a soul warrior before the duel? The fifth elder asked. Agreed, the emperor said. Seeing the queen about to protest, he cut her off. Our White Tiger family has never shied from a challenge. If Dai Mubai can't beat someone with a brand new soul ring, he doesn't deserve to be Prince of Xingluo. My boy, the fifth elder thought, sighing, I've won you this chance. It's up to you to take it. He clearly wasn't optimistic about Dai Yao's chances. The difference in their soul power was too vast. The news of Dai Yao's awakened white tiger martial spirit and his appointment as fourth prince spread like wildfire. At the palace, several eunuchs who had once bullied Dai Yao panicked when they heard the news. They were sure he'd awaken a useless martial spirit and remain powerless, so they'd mistreated him under the queen's orders. But now, Dai Yao had a powerful martial spirit and was destined to become a strong soul master. Even if he didn't win the throne, he was still a prince, and could easily deal with them. The only way out is to make amends before he gets stronger. And if that doesn't work, Eunuch Li made a cutting gesture. The other eunuchs were shocked by his cruelty, but they couldn't think of a better solution. Back at the cold palace, Dai Yao approached his residence, a worried look on his face. He noticed several eunuchs waiting anxiously outside. As soon as they saw him, they knelt. Eunuch Li grabbed Dai Yao's leg and said obsequiously, "Congratulations, Your Highness, on awakening the white tiger martial spirit. We were fools, too blind to recognize your greatness. We beg your forgiveness. We know we deserve to die. We want to do anything we can for you. Nothing we do can undo the harm we've caused, but if we can ease even a little of your anger, we'll be content." Dai Yao scoffed inwardly, but remained calm. "I've known you all since I was a kid. I know you have your reasons. But the pain you've caused me makes it hard to forgive you. Whether I let you go depends on how you perform." He said the words, but didn't mean them. Hunger, pain, cold, these were the feelings that had haunted him for 6 years. He would never forget them. He wanted to flay them alive, not forgive them. Although he was a prince now, he had no power base. If a prince directly punished a few eunuchs, it would damage his reputation with the royal family and his own family. He needed to demonstrate his potential if he wanted to challenge the queen. Such a rash move would scare away potential allies, but more importantly, he needed to be careful. He lived in the cold palace, surrounded by eunuchs. If they wanted to harm him, despite his martial spirit, he was still just a malnourished 6-year-old. He couldn't fight them all off. He would die. To keep them from doing something desperate, he had to give them hope of redemption. After dismissing the eunuchs, Dai Yao entered his room. It looked brand new. It was clean, decorated, the broken windows were fixed, and even the crumbling walls were repaired. A lavish meal sat on the table. Dai Yao sneered. "It doesn't matter how much you do. Tomorrow, you'll face my wrath." He believed in repaying kindness with kindness, and revenge with vengeance. He had never been one to turn the other cheek. When others hurt him, he would pay them back double when he had the chance. Tonight was just to keep them from doing something stupid. He needed to play it safe. They would have to wait until he officially became the prince tomorrow. Right now, he had more important things to do. Chapter 7 Twin Martial Spirits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Twin Martial Spirits. When his martial spirit awakened this morning, he not only discovered the white tiger martial spirit, but also felt another strange presence within him. It seemed he could unleash it by simply channeling his Dantian energy, but he resisted the urge. This presence was likely his second martial spirit. Revealing a second martial spirit in front of everyone would make him a target for the entire continent, not just the queen. The Qiando Empire wouldn't stand for it, the 7 major sects wouldn't stand for it, and even within the Star Luo Empire, many secretly wished him dead. The White Tiger family alone couldn't protect him. Seeking refuge with the Spirit Hall would be an option, but he was currently in the Star Luo Empire, inside the Imperial Palace. Any hint of defection to the Spirit Hall would be his death warrant, signed by the White Tiger family. In the original story, Tang San awakened twin martial spirits, but his father, a titled Douluo, secretly protected him. But what about him? Before awakening his martial spirit, even survival was a struggle. Even with his newfound talent, no noble would invest in a prince destined to fail. Queen Zhu's family's influence was everywhere in the Star Luo Empire. Emperor Xingluo was ruthless. Power was all that mattered to him. No one would protect him. He had to rely on himself. He'd have to watch every step he took. One wrong move, and he'd be finished. He took a deep breath, calmed himself, channeled the energy in his Dantian, and summoned the strange presence. The moment the Dantian energy touched the strange aura, he was taken by surprise. Wind whipped through the room, swirling his clothes and hair. The force of the wind made it difficult to open his eyes. All the air seemed to converge in his palm, where a green lotus bloomed. Just as I thought, he mused, the green lotus had 12 leaves, with an unbloomed flower at its center. Countless layers of pink petals seemed to nurture something within. Since you brought me to the Douluo continent and became my martial spirit, I should give you a name. Green Lotus is okay but doesn't quite fit you. Let's call you Chaos Green Lotus. With that, he withdrew his martial spirit. Unbeknownst to him, the moment the Green Lotus appeared, the restless soul beasts in the royal beast palace's iron cages fell silent. People walking and flying in the palace all looked toward the cold palace. Even the ubiquitous blue-silver grass on the ground swayed toward the cold palace, as if bowing to an emperor. Unfortunately, the strange scene was fleeting and went unnoticed. The next day, a group of people, bearing silks and rewards, gathered outside the cold palace. Leading them was a fair-skinned eunuch with delicate movements. This was the emperor's personal eunuch, so every action represented the emperor's will. He was also a contra himself, one of the strongest among the eunuchs. No one knew his name, they simply called him Eunuch Gui. Beside him stood Dai Yao's third uncle, Dai Hengyu. Eunuch Gui knocked on the door, but there was no answer. After a while, Eunuch Gui's patience wore thin. Dai Hengyu quickly said, "He may be asleep, father. Let's give him a moment." They knocked again, but still no response. Eunuch Gui finally snapped. "Open the door." He barked. Instantly, a eunuch leaped over the nearly 10-foot wall, landed in the yard, and unlocked the door from the inside. The group rushed into the house and found Dai Yao lying on the bed, gasping for breath. Dai Hengyu was furious. How dare they? Doing this in the palace, that he had sent Dai Yao to awaken his martial spirit yesterday, and he was fine. This morning, he was like this, and Dai Yao hadn't left the palace. Only one person had a motive. He couldn't believe that woman would disregard the rules so blatantly and act within the palace. He helped Dai Yao up, his heart aching at the sight of Dai Yao's gaunt appearance. "Little Yaoer, how are you?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. "I'm all right, cough cough, it's just that I haven't eaten in so long," Dai Yao said, feigning pain. "There's plenty of food on the table." "What do you mean you haven't eaten?" Eunuch Gui asked, gesturing towards the food the eunuchs had brought as an apology. Dai Yao hadn't eaten, simply to keep his head clear. Who knew if the food was poisoned? He'd just awakened his martial spirit. Dying because of gluttony would be a major setback. He looked at Eunuch Gui, thinking, finally, you're here. Revenge was about to begin, starting with the eunuchs who had bullied him for years. What father-in-law doesn't know is that, for years, I haven't been able to eat. The eunuchs outside have been snatching all the food from the imperial kitchen. Yesterday, after they found out I'd become the fourth prince, they apologized. This table of food is from them. However, I've been living on cornbread for so long, with barely any oil. Look at this table piled with meat. I worried it would upset my stomach, so I didn't eat it. Eunuch Gui studied Dai Yao, who was clearly malnourished, and knew that he was telling the truth, but as a contra, he could sense that Dai Yao was weak only on the surface. Deep down, he still had strength. He was putting on an act, clearly hoping to use him as a tool, to eliminate the eunuchs who had tormented him. Smart kid, Eunuch Gui thought. Such palace intrigue at such a young age, with such outstanding talent, he will become a great talent in time. It's a pity that he is too young, so he is destined not to be able to win against several highnesses. Feeling Dai Hengyu's gaze, Eunuch Gui felt the pressure. Insulting a member of the royal family was a capital offense. But those eunuchs were the queen's people. Getting rid of them would be tricky. Dai Hengyu might be a prince with no real power, and Eunuch Gui wasn't afraid of him, but behind him stood the entire council of elders. If this matter reached the council of elders, it wouldn't be so simple. If the scandal grew, even he, a close eunuch, would be in trouble, and the entire royal family would lose face. The best course of action was to appease the fourth prince, take care of the eunuchs to satisfy him, and minimize the damage. Eunuch Gui lamented Dai Yao's shrewdness and ordered, bring me Xiao Lizi and the others. After Dai Yao was named the fourth prince yesterday, he immediately realized this was his chance for revenge. With eunuch Gui's help and the power of the Council of Elders, he could achieve it. Those eunuchs were as good as dead. Chapter 8 Engagement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Spare me. Please, Your Highness, spare me. The fourth prince has plenty of people. Have mercy. I deserve to die. I deserve to die. Several eunuchs lay face down, their buttocks being beaten with wooden sticks by soldiers. The skin tore, and some fainted from the pain, while the rest begged Dai Yao for mercy. When they had bullied him, Dai Yao wanted them dead. But now, seeing them bruised and bleeding, he felt nothing. The queen was behind them. She was his real enemy. Getting rid of these lackeys wouldn't hurt her much, he just needed to breathe. Years of torment had twisted something inside him. Releasing that resentment made him feel lighter. Is that enough for you, Your Highness? Eunuch Gui asked, smiling. Now that they've tasted the consequences, let them go. Banish them from the palace, Dai Yao said. As you wish. Dai Yao wasn't generous. He was driving them out to fend for themselves. They'd lost their status, had no family, and were incomplete. Their future looked bleak. People like them faced discrimination and bullying. Let you experience a taste of my old life, Dai Yao thought. After he ate and regained some color, Eunuch Gui said, these men are also under my supervision. It's my fault such a thing happened. You assist His Majesty, with so much to do, Dai Yao said, and the palace has so many people. There are bound to be a few bad apples. Don't worry about it. Eunuch Gui got to the point. The fourth prince knows that every prince is traditionally betrothed to a woman from the Zhu family, right? I've heard of the custom. The white tiger martial spirit could merge with the nether civet martial spirit. Their children could inherit the white tiger martial spirit. That's why Xingluo princes always married Zhu family daughters. There's a young woman in the Zhu family, Zhu Zhuqing, who has awakened the nether civet spirit. 2 princes are currently unmarried. His Majesty proposes a duel between the 2 princes. The winner gets the betrothal. Dai Yao's eyes lit up. Forcing Zhu Zhuqing into a marriage was cruel, but in a world like Douluo continent, that's just how things were. The aristocracy had its own rules. Dai Yao didn't have some high-minded vision of overthrowing the feudal monarchy and creating equality. He was a prince, part of the nobility. Revolution meant revolutionizing his own life. In the eyes of nobles, loveless arranged marriages were the norm. A marriage contract had to benefit both families. The feelings of the individuals involved didn't matter. For Dai Yao, a prince of the Star Luo Empire, marriage meant fighting together to survive. In the original story, Zhu Zhuqing was not only beautiful but also loyal. She and Dai Mubai worked together, and with Tang San's help, escaped their fate as Xingluo royalty. If he missed out on Zhu Zhuqing, he wouldn't know the next candidate's appearance or personality. More importantly, he couldn't be sure she would be a supportive partner in tough times. Better to fight for the engagement than wait for an unknown woman. This duel would be tough. Dai Mubai's soul power was already level 17. He had experience. Dai Yao's martial spirit had just awakened. He was 3 years younger, malnourished, and thin. He probably couldn't win. But with Bajabang, he might have a chance. Father, when will the duel take place? After you get your first soul ring, Eunuch Gui replied. Today was supposed to be the knighting ceremony, but His Majesty ordered it postponed until after the duel. Eunuch Gui pointed to the silks and treasures on the table. These are the rewards for the title. From now on, you'll be treated like a prince. You can request food anytime. Do you want maids to attend to your needs? No. The maids might be queen spies, seeing things they shouldn't. He couldn't be on guard all the time. He had a secret. Bajabang was a trump card for the duel, and couldn't be revealed. More importantly, he couldn't expose his twin martial spirits. Once he did, he'd never have peace. Eunuch Gui looked around the cold palace. Your Highness, if you need anything, tell me. I'll do my best. If I need anything, I will. After eunuch Gui left, only Dai Yao and Dai Hengyu remained. Dai Hengyu said sadly, I didn't realize your talent was so high. You won't be joining me in the Presbyterian Church. Remember, once you start fighting for the throne, there's no turning back. Your life is in your hands. Many princes have fallen on this path. The eldest prince, Davis, is 15. He's the queen's legitimate son. His soul power is level 31, and he just got his third soul ring. The second prince, Dai Yaming, is 12. He's not the queen's son. He's a level 25 battle soul master, Davis's biggest rival. Third prince Dai Mubai, 9 years old, level 17. And you, 6 years old, haven't gotten your first soul ring yet. Dai Yao now had a clearer picture. The first and second princes were the real contenders. Dai Yaming was 3 years younger than Davis but more talented. The gap between them would shrink as he grew. In the original story, sure Davis represented the Star Luo Royal Academy, meaning Dai Yaming had failed to beat him, Dai Mubai, and he seemed like afterthoughts. They were too young. Dai Yao was 9 years younger than Davis. Davis was a soul master, but he hadn't gotten his first soul ring. A difference of over 20 levels of soul power was enormous, but the competition for the throne was ruthless, with no allowance for age. The world was unfair. If you were truly a genius, you could overcome the age gap. In the Star Luo Empire's history, the emperors who succeeded against the odds were the best. When they ruled, they were able to suppress the Tiando Empire. In the original story, even after eating the Chirue Tongtianju fairy grass, Dai Mubai's soul power only reached level 44, still 3 levels behind Davis. Overcoming such a disadvantage was going to be tough. Chapter 9 Royal Beast Park. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Royal Beast Garden. You're dueling the third prince in a few days. You have to win. Dai Hengyu sighed. I know it's a lot to ask. Let's face it, nobody's betting on you because your competitive edge is so small. But if you want to survive, you have to show them what you're capable of. This duel is your shot. Dai Yao nodded, serious. I get it. The fifth elder sees something in you. He pulled some strings to get you this chance. You owe him big time. If you screw this up, you'll let him down too. Might not get another chance like this. Dai Hengyu laid it all out. If the fifth elder hadn't stepped in, Zhu Zhuqing would already be engaged to Dai Mubai. After all, Dai Mubai's the queen's legitimate son. Without the fifth elder in your corner, who'd give a damn about some nobody? It's all about power and connections. Investments need to pay off. Dai Yao has to win this duel. If he doesn't, the fifth elder might just cut him loose. And then who's going to back him? His third uncle's not exactly a soul master powerhouse, so his support can only go so far. After Dai Hengyu left, Dai Yao was alone again in the cold palace. He decided to take a few days to build up his strength before trying for his first soul ring. He'd been starved for so long, he'd probably pass out if he exerted himself too much. Things at the cold palace had gotten a lot livelier over the last few days. Dai Yao had been giving instructions, and the place was slowly being fixed up, turning those run-down spots into something respectable. Food was his biggest concern. Being the fourth prince had its perks. There was always someone waiting outside his door, ready to bring him food at a moment's notice. He couldn't train his soul power, not yet. But there was still plenty to learn while he was getting his strength back. He had discovered 2 forms related to Wuhuan. One was a pure white tiger without wings, which weakened the martial spirit strength. The other was the sacred white tiger form, wings extended. But those wings were just for show, they couldn't actually fly yet. The fifth elder figured they'd become functional when he became a soul sect. As long as he didn't run into Qinglian, the holy white tiger wouldn't back down from anyone in martial arts alone. And then there's the Baji collapse. Dai Yao had figured out that the amount of qi he poured in determined how hard the Baji collapse hit. When he wasn't hurt, he could only push about 10% of his energy into it. The last time he was injured, he'd managed to pump in 30%. 40% seemed to be his body's limit, so, he needed to focus on getting stronger. The stronger he got, the more energy his meridians could handle. Then he'd be able to unleash the Baji collapse, maybe even at 50% power, without getting hurt. Early on the fourth day, Dai Yao stood outside the gate of the cold palace. A carriage was already waiting. A few days of rest had filled him out some, but he was still thinner than he should be. It'd take a while to fully recover. Today, he was going after his first soul ring. Soul rings came from soul beasts, and powerful groups usually raised their own. In the original story, poison Douluo Dugyabo had a sunset forest. The Dai family, with its thousands of years of history, naturally had a place to raise soul beasts, called the Xingluo or Royal Beast Garden. Compared to the wild sunset forest, the Star Luo royal family was way more organized. Over the centuries, the family's elders had figured out which soul rings were best for the white tiger martial spirit. The three main soul skills for the first three rings were the white tiger protective barrier, the white tiger fierce light wave, and the white tiger Vajra transformation. These skills came from the mysterious water turtle, the earth-walking dragon, and the diamond beast, respectively. All three of these soul beasts were raised in the royal beast garden. After the third soul ring, the kids with the white tiger were on their own when it came to picking soul skills. The family just set them up, the rest was up to them. In the original story, even though Dai Mubai left the Star Luo Empire after reaching level 20, he still chose the diamond beast for his third soul ring. The carriage traveled for a day and a night before finally arriving. Opening the door, he saw a cliff rising straight up. There was a narrow gap in the middle, maybe 30 feet wide. A small opening to the cliff, but enough space for several carriages. After a guard checked their credentials, the carriage passed through the gap. Looking up, the cliffs on both sides rose straight into the sky, with only a sliver of white visible above. The carriage creaked and groaned in a strange environment, making him uneasy. After what felt like forever, the view suddenly opened up. The high cliffs sank, forming a circular pit, thick with forest. 3 stone walls divided the forest into sections. From above, it probably looked like a giant Mercedes-Benz logo. The head guard dismounted and walked over to Dai Yao. "Your Highness, Fourth Prince, this is the Royal Beast Garden." It split into 3 pie-shaped areas, each housing different soul beasts. The section ahead is only inhabited by the Xian water turtle clan. There are hundreds to thousands of black water turtles, with the oldest being 5,000 years old. A soul master can only absorb a first soul ring that's around 400 years old. "Your Highness, you should search near the area with century-old soul beasts." Dai Yao nodded. He'd done his homework on Xian water turtles, including how to tell their age, their habits, and their weaknesses. The black water turtle was a docile soul beast that could create a hydraulic barrier when attacked. They were usually gentle, but they could become incredibly destructive when angered. Hunting them was dangerous. Dai Yao carefully made his way down the cliff path. The path was treacherous, barely wide enough for one person. A steep drop-off on either side. After a long time, Dai Yao finally reached the bottom of the pit, where he saw a landscape of lakes and forests. He followed the path into the forest, beginning his quest for his first soul ring. A guard suddenly sensed something. He went to a secluded spot, and a woman in a palace maid's uniform appeared. She handed him a small porcelain bottle. "This is animal heart powder. It will send the Xian water turtle into a frenzy. Follow that kid Dai Yao and slip this into the water when he's not looking, near one of the older turtles. I've taken care of the soul master who's supposed to be helping him hunt. No one will stop you. He's as good as dead in a place like this." "Yes," the guard promised. As the woman left, and the guard was sneaking towards the soul beast forest, a voice spoke from behind. "Are you sure you want to do this? If this comes out, you and your family will pay." The guard turned. It was the captain of the guard. He had no choice. He said, "Boss, I've had it. Why are we commoners stuck with these crummy martial souls? Our ancestors guard this forest for the royal family, day in and day out, year after year, always lonely. And those royals get to live in luxury, spending money, indulging themselves. Aren't we all human? Why should they be better than us? Now I finally have a chance. If I pull this off, my son will be able to marry a woman from the Zhu family. And then my grandson will have a martial soul worth training." that the captain was silent. He understood. Those people had powerful martial souls, giving them the advantage. The guard had been promised by the Queen's maid that, if he succeeded, he might gain a martial soul worth developing. If he was the guard, maybe he couldn't endure such temptation. I just wanted to give you my thoughts, you can do what you want. Chapter 10 The Furious Xian Shui Turtle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 The Enraged Black Water Turtle. Seeing the guard march off, the captain of the guard sighed. They were just pawns, helpless. The noble's scraps were like gold to him, worth fighting for with his life, even risking his family's well-being, but he couldn't interfere. Stopping the guard meant thwarting the Queen, offending her, and destroying himself. Your Highness, I just pray you're safe. The black water turtle's habitat was suffocatingly humid. Dai Yao was miserable just walking through the place. The sun beat down, leaving him drenched in sweat. He'd found a few black water turtles, but they were all young, nowhere near the age he needed. Figuring out their age was pretty straightforward. Up to 1,000 years, they grew about 1.5 feet every century. A 500-year-old turtle would be around 8 feet long. The ones Dai Yao had seen were barely 3 feet. It's getting late. We can't keep this up. Should I really go deeper? Dai Yao wondered. No, while black water turtles are usually docile and don't attack people, invading their territory can still trigger them. I should play it safe and avoid older soul beasts unless I absolutely have to. After a fruitless search, he changed his mind. He decided to venture further in. As he pressed on, the soul beasts got older. In one pond, he even found a 300-year-old black water turtle. Okay, this'll have to do as a backup, Dai Yao said, marking the location on his map. The closer a soul ring is to its limit, the stronger it becomes for the soul master. The original text stated that the limit for a soul master's first soul ring was 423 years. So, the closer he got to that number, the better. My body's still lacking nutrients, so the soul ring limit I can handle might not reach 423. I'll have to lower my expectations and find a turtle close to 400 years old. If I can just grow strong and become a high-level soul master, I can add a soul ring to my second martial soul. With the raw power of twin martial souls, I'll be unstoppable. If I just stay steady, I might not compete with monsters like Tang San, but I'll easily outclass the other 7 devils. After marking the spot, Dai Yao moved on. Suddenly, he froze. He swallowed hard. Right there, on the edge of the pool, was a black water turtle over 11 feet long and 7 feet tall. To Dai Yao, who was only 3 feet tall, it was a colossal beast. He nervously backed away. Black water turtles were territorial, but they usually didn't attack humans. As long as he left its territory, he should be safe. The turtle glanced at him with its beady eyes and, seeing him retreating, didn't bother chasing. Dai Yao's heart eased. That was close. What's such an old turtle doing here? Good thing it didn't attack, or I'd be toast. There was no one in the royal beast garden to help him hunt soul beasts. The competition for the throne was brutal. Who would help him hunt? If he couldn't survive, that was his problem. Dai Yao understood the rules, but usually, someone would protect the prince while hunting, rescuing him if he was in danger, but since he'd arrived, he hadn't seen his protector. The queen must have stopped them. How crafty. Without help, I can't risk it and can only settle for a low-level soul ring. He frowned. Just then, a figure emerged from the forest. The guard. He pulled out the porcelain bottle the palace maid had given him, uncorked it, and gently blew the powder toward the turtle. Most of the powder dissipated, but a bit landed on the turtle's back. Just a pinch of this animal heart powder is enough to drive it crazy. I coated myself with the antidote so it won't notice me. This is easier than I thought. My family will finally have the skills to practice martial arts. The guard suppressed his glee. If the turtle killed Dai Yao, his dream would come true. The turtle sensed something and sniffed the air. Instantly, its eyes turned blood red. It roared, glared around, then charged at Dai Yao. Despite being a turtle, it was fast. Its limbs pumped, blurring into motion. Its massive body shot toward Dai Yao like a cannonball. Crap. It went nuts out of nowhere. Dai Yao thought in terror, watching the turtle race toward him, feeling the ground shake. He didn't have time to think. He immediately summoned his martial soul, took off, and sprinted out of the turtle's territory. The vibrations grew closer, making Dai Yao's scalp tingle. He glanced back and nearly jumped out of his skin. The turtle was only 30 feet away. Seeing its thick scales, he knew his Bajiquan wouldn't penetrate them. The turtle's weak point was the center of its belly, but not only did it have high defense, it was fast too. Its body hugged the ground, making it hard to hit its soft spot. He wished he could fly, but his wings were too weak. If he could fly, the turtle couldn't do anything. Running was his only option. Facing death, he had an idea. He focused the spiritual energy he cultivated with Qinglian into his hands for Bajiquan. What if he focused it in his feet? The turtle's furious face was closing in. Dai Yao gritted his teeth and sent the energy to his feet. Thump, star. His foot slammed into the ground with a heavy thud, kicking up snow. He shot forward 15 feet. He stumbled, almost falling. He regained his balance, took a few strides, and kept running. The turtle was still gaining. Dai Yao racked his brain for a way out. He was too far from the edge of the pit to call for help. Then he saw the map on his waist and realized, I can lead it to the 300-year-old turtle. They'll fight over territory, and I can slip away in the chaos. He changed direction, calculated his energy, and sprinted toward the spot on the map. Finally, after using 20% of his energy, he made it. The turtle sunning itself saw the giant turtle chasing Dai Yao and its eyes widened. What a mess!